Alright, welcome back everybody. So in the last video, let me just see where we left off. Okay, so we've got our car going and we've got our score working and we've got our game over menu and we need our main menu. Okay, so first of all, you're going to come over here in your scenes folder. You're going to right click create and you will create a new scene and you're going to call it menu. Now I've already created this scene. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is when the user clicks on the menu button, we're going to change scenes and we're going to go to the menu. Now, if you're wondering how to change the scene, then that's something we've already done before once over here. If you remember on the on restart, we were basically using the scene manager to load the scene, and we were, as we talked about, we said that this load scene takes a parameter of string and it takes the name of the scene to which you want to go to, and this was just a quick way of getting the name of the scene, which was in fact active. Okay, so the first thing we can do is we can go ahead and write another public function here. So public void on menu. Okay, so this is the function that's going to run when the user clicks on the menu button, and you can go ahead and you can take this line here and you can paste it in like so, except instead of this name we need to provide the name of our scene. So the name of our scene here is menu, so you can go ahead and put in menu. Now of course the spelling here has to be exactly the same, or otherwise it will not work. So if you called it main menu, then just make sure that this name matches up with this name. Okay, so now we can go over here on our canvas and on our game over menu we've got the main menu button, and we can what were we doing over here? So I'm just having a hard time remembering. Okay, so we were dragging and dropping our taxi because that's where we are writing this function, right? So it's car movement script dot on menu. So I can go over here, I can add a plus sign, I can drag and drop our taxi, and now this will give us access to all the components on our taxi, such as the transform, the rigid body, the box collider, and our car movement script. And inside our car movement script, we have the on menu function. We're doing this a second time, so hopefully this should become a little bit more clear to you, and therefore I'm not going in a whole lot of detail. So I will click this on menu function, and now if I try, and I'm going to speed up my car so I don't have to wait for the game to end forever. So we're going and we're going, and okay, so we've got our menu, and now when I hit main menu, it should take me to my menu, and as you can see, it's not working. So it's giving me an error, and the reason why it's giving me an error is because even though we have made this new scene, Unity hasn't actually recognized that we've made the scene. And the way we can take care of this little error is you can go over here in build settings, and let's see. So over here in scenes in the build, if I do add open scene, so it's pretty much over here, basically in the build, we need to tell Unity which scenes we want to include whenever we play our game. Okay, so when I hit add open scenes, it automatically opened my game scene. And if I now switch over to my main menu, now don't forget to save your changes over here. And now I switch over to my menu scene, which at the moment is empty. And if I hit add open scenes again, then as you can see, it's added both scenes. Now I think I should be able to rearrange them like so. Alright, so the reason why it's important to rearrange is because this order here, 0 and 1, I could be wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, this order determines which one of these scenes shows up first. So we obviously want the menu scene to show up first, right? So what's going to happen is the menu is going to show up, and then the user is going to hit play, and then it's going to go to the game. So now that we've got this set, if I go back to my game, since there's no way of transitioning from the menu to the game, let's just go to the game and test out and see if Unity does in fact let us go to our main menu. So as soon as the game ends, if I hit main menu, sure enough, we are now in our menu scene because as you can see, it's completely empty. Okay, so things seem to be coming along just fine. What do we need to do? First of all, we need to, let's just take take care of let's just have a look at our menu. So one of the things we need is, first of all, we need to be able to go from our menu, since that's the first thing that the user is going to see when our app runs. So we need a way to go from our menu to our game. So that should be pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a new button. Now I want to say something here, guys. The actual Crazy Cabby game, you guys are more than welcome to look at the game on the Android store. You can also go and have a look at one of my older videos, or in the first video of this series where I showed you and introduced you to the game. I'm not going into every single detail about how you can make the game look pretty. I mean, in the sense that of course I used my own assets and such, which were specially designed for this game. So I'm not going into all of the details, and my job here is not to make the game the prettiest looking game. I'm trying to teach you the core concepts, and you will be able to take these core concepts and just replace in your art and pretty much use these concepts to build your own games. That's what I'm really trying to do here. So if the game looks a little bit bland, then I apologize for that, but that isn't the aim of this project anyways. And in any case, I like to take care of the design usually at the very end anyways, and I think we're quite close to the end, to be honest. So let's see how that goes. But at the moment, I'm not really going to waste too much time on, implementing or getting some sort of a background image and putting it in there and so on and so forth. We'll just be looking at quick and dirty fixes, which are going to be, get our job done basically. So over here, enough said. Over here, we've got our button. I'm going to go ahead and change the text to play, and let's make it all caps. Let's make the button a little bit bigger, and while I'm here, I also want to name it play button. So play button. Let's make the size a little bit bigger. So let's make it 200 by 100. Okay, no, maybe not. So maybe 80. Okay, so let's try that for a while and see what that looks like. I'm going to increase the size of my text a little bit, and I will make it bold. Okay, so that looks okay. This is going to be our play button. What I also want to do is I also want to show the high score of the user, and we'll look at how that's done. So let's set that up here. So I'm going to have a UI text. I'm going to go on my text. I'm going to rename it as to high score text, and I'm going to place it over here in the top left corner. So the way I can do that is I come over here on my text, high score text, I click this, and I press shift, and I also click this. So this pretty much, by clicking it and by shift clicking it, it sets the anchors and the pivots, everything all the way. Over here, if I go in my scene view, as you can see, the anchors and the pivots, everything is set over here in the corner. Now, if I go and reposition, it pretty much sets the origin of my high score text in the corner. So when I put the X and the Y and the Z position as to 0, it's all the way here nicely in the corner. Now, of course, I want to make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to change the size to maybe something like 250 by 250. And this just increases the size of the container so we can pop up the text. And let's just put something in here to see how it looks. High score, I don't know, 999, just to see if it fits in perfectly. And let me just see what the container looks like. So this is what the container looks like. We don't really need it to be, for example, this wide. So we could even make it, let's say, 100, or obviously I don't know my widths and lengths, so I meant my height. I can change my height to something like 100, and we can maybe increase our width just in case you get a really high score. So let's make the width something like 450. Also, I want to move it down because it's all the way in the corner. So what I'm going to do is, instead of maybe positioning this, I can just make it center aligned like so. So now it's not stuck all the way into the corner. And I also want to move it a little bit from the corner here, but I don't want to do something like this because now it's all the way awkwardly in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set that like so, and I'm just going to click it and move it up like so. And I think this looks fine. I also want to give this a background image, just like we did before. So now this is just like this is just a bit of a review. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new image. Once again, I'm going to set it into the corners and reposition it. Probably should have done that first, but it's okay. And the height is the 100, and we'll make the width as 450, like so. And we'll make the high score a child of our image. So previously it wasn't showing up because our high score was behind our image, and now we just made the background image, and we made the high score a child of that, basically the image. So what I'm going to do is in my source image, I will use this background like we did before, and I'm going to make it a little bit translucent. So I can click on the color and I can make it a little bit see-through, like so. If I hit play now, before I hit play, what I want to do is I want to go on my canvas, and I want to change this render mode from screen space overlay. In fact, I want to keep this here. What I want to actually change is I want to change my UI scale mode to scale with screen size. So this means that even if you know, I have different screen sizes, my UI elements look just the way they should. Now, if I switch to my game view, obviously I don't like this, so I'm going to decrease the width of my image to maybe something like 350 or 300. Okay, so this looks much better, and I'm going to keep it this way. I'm going to change this scenes. I'm going to save the scenes. I just want to quickly go back and check if I was setting my canvas up to scale with screen size on my game. So in case we forgot to do that, yeah, so over here we're going to go ahead and scale with screen size over here as well. So now our menus and stuff are going to look just fine everywhere. I'm going to go back to our menu. I'm going to save my changes. So here we are. What I want to do now is, what do I want to do? So while we are here, let's give our game a title. So let's add another UI text element, and we will anchor it to the center, and we will move the pivots and the anchors both. Once again, we will position it in the center. Now it's all the way over here. So let's call our game Crazy Cabby, and let's increase the size. So let's make the width as something like 250 and 250, and let's increase the text. And maybe we need to increase the width a little bit more. So, like so. Let's make this one aligned in both center and like so. And let me just see what it looks like. So this obviously looks not very pretty. I'm going to bump up the text size, and I'm going to once again increase the width. And I'm going to shift this down a little bit, like so. So it looks like the game title. We could give this a background and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to do that just now, but you're more than welcome to go ahead and do that. So yeah, I think that is all for the main menu. What I want to do now is I want to wire up this play button. So what I will do now is I will rename this text to, first of all, title text. Okay, so title text, and what we want to do is we want to wire up this this play button. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create an empty child. I'm going to reset it to 000. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do it anyways. It doesn't matter in this case. So I'm going to call this main menu. And the reason why I'm making this empty child is so that I can attach a script where I can hold my something similar to basically what we were doing here. So I need a function like so. Something like on play, right? But as you can see that this particular script is attached to our taxi in a completely different scene. So we can't really access the taxi over here. Otherwise, we would have gone ahead and maybe written our on play function over here. So what I need to do is I need to create a new game object and attach a new script on top of it so that I can switch my scenes. So I can go over here in my scripts, not over here. We have a scripts folder. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll make a new script, and I'll call it main menu script. Let's just call it main menu. Okay, so I'm gonna double click and open it like so. And what I'm going to do is I'll leave the start and update for now, even though we probably don't need them. I'm not sure. I'm going to write a public void. In fact, let me just copy this in. And I will call this public void on play. And we, of course, need scene management over here, like we talked about before. So using Unity engine dot scene management. Okay. So this right here takes care. This import takes care of that error, and the scene we want to load is the game scene. So I'm just gonna make sure that we spelled it correctly. 1 second, and okay. So where's our scenes folder? And sure enough, the name of our game scene was in fact game. So now we've got our on play. We can go back here, and on our main menu, the empty object that we made, we can attach the main menu script that we just wrote, right? So this is that script, and now what I can do is I can go on my canvas, I can go on my play button, and right here I can add a function here. So it requires an object. I can go ahead and drag and drop this main menu object. On this main menu object, we have this main menu component, and this component has a on play button function. So going over here, I can go like so. I can find my main menu component, and I can use the on play function. So now when I click on this play button, it should go over here, and it should go do scene manager.loadScene.game. So let's see that in action. Of course, we haven't wired up the high score yet, but that's okay. So now our game is playing. Okay, so our game is in fact playing, and if I hit play now, then notice how it takes me to this scene. Once again, you can see it's a bit dark because of the Unity editor. Don't worry about that. If I hit restart, then our game restarts as we expect it to. And lastly, if I go back to my main menu, it does just fine. So things are looking just all right. What else do I want to do? I think this is all for this video, and in the next video we'll talk about the high score and such. So as always, if this video was helpful for you, don't forget to like, to subscribe, to let me know how I'm doing. And we're coming quite close to the end of the tutorial series, so thank you so much once again, and I will see you in the next video.